And welcome ICS2O folks. This I've got it in Smart Notebook, but you could use a word processor. And remember, if I'm going too fast, you can pause and type away. That's all good. Parts of a computer. We were talking about IPO, and we're going to sort of add some detail to the IPO. So, as we know, computers work with information or data. When you use a computer, you need to do 4 things, and here's the 4 pieces to the IPO. Input, get stuff into the computer. Processing, do things with the stuff, whatever it happens to be. Move the scratch cat around, that might be the processing. Storage, keep the stuff for later, that's saving our files, etc. And then output, get stuff out of the computer, usually to the screen, but it could be a printer or to a microphone or to headphones or whatever. Input, processing, and output, and then the storage helps keep the stuff for later. So here's some more detail about this. Input devices, and you can go grab a bunch of pictures if you like, or just type in the words here, and here's a whole bunch of them, and you can come up with more. Of course you can. In fact, I think in a day or so you're going to get an opportunity to challenge yourself to think of as many input and output devices as you possibly can. But that's for the next day. You can just add a few in here. Next, processing. Processing is maybe the more interesting part, where we're unsure of how the processing works because we don't see it. Different parts of the computer work to manipulate or do stuff with the data. Some of these parts are the power supply, which provide electricity to all parts of the computer. You need power to do stuff to the data. You need power. And almost like any other electronic machine, you need a power supply or a battery. Usually for computers, it's like a motor that you plug in. The motherboard connects the parts of the computer together. This lets stuff move from one part of the computer to another. This is the big chunk of green stuff usually you see, and all the little components are plugged into it, and that's sort of the biggest green chunk. And by the way, if you'd like to pause the video and go get pictures of these things from the internet, you can absolutely do that. Remember, use your little picture tool thing to, you see a picture you like, you can take a picture of it and go paste it in there. Remember, if I'm going too fast, you pause. The CPU is part of your computer that works with your data. Some properties of a CPU include speed, cache, and the number of processors. So some CPUs have more than one processor. That's the idea of a dual or a quad, is the number of processors. The speed, as you'll get a chance to investigate, that's got to do with megahertz or gigahertz. How fast, how often the instructions are executed. And we're not going to go into much more detail than that about the CPU. Maybe next year in 3U or 3C or later in college, you'll learn more about this sort of thing. An important part of the CPU is RAM. Random access memory, RAM, is temporary memory, and that's what it looks like. That's what the memory chips look like. That stores stuff that the CPU is currently working on. The more RAM you have, the more stuff you can do at the same time. And there are a few things that make that true. When you turn off the computer, the RAM is erased. So that's the idea of saving often in case there's a power shortage or the power flicks off. RAM is gone. Okay, that's RAM, random access memory. Graphics card. A graphics card kind of looks like that, but it's got some different components to it. Usually it's a little bit bigger, a little bit longer than this, and it takes stuff from the processor and converts it to a signal that can be displayed on a monitor. Some graphics cards have their own mini CPU, called a GPU, and their own RAM. This allows them to process faster. So if you're a hardcore PC gamer, you'll want a powerful graphics card that has its own memory and has its own processor. Otherwise, your computer runs slowly and it's no fun to play your games. And I'll bet you a few of you are just like that. Next, storage. Storage is a number of different things, but the hard disk is the most common one. is a device for permanently storing stuff. This type of memory is permanent. So once you save it, goes saved on the server. That's on the hard disk in the school, and it becomes permanent. Well, until you erase it or change it. Unlike RAM, RAM is when you shut off the computer, it's gone. The storage is always going to be there, though. That's why we always save. Disk drives can copy information onto optical disks for storage or distribution. This information usually can't be changed once it's burned onto the disk. So that's the idea of a read-only memory. Cd-Rom is this type of disk drive. Portable drives, flash drives, USB, are used when you want to move your data from one computer to another. And you're familiar, I hope, with USB drives or flash drives. And that's another form of storage. Output, well, we can think of a whole bunch of types of output again, and there's a bunch. Speakers, printer, headphones. The most common one probably is monitor for us. Another type of output you might not think of because you don't use a network as much is a network card, and that's kind of how your computer that you're working on in class is hooked up to the network. How it gets connected to the servers is through a network card. And again, you don't have to have all these pictures, but if you want to go grab some pictures of output, then you can. All right, that's all I believe I have to say about parts of a computer. Yep, the next thing we'll talk about is your assignments for today.